am more than my physical body. Because I am more than physical matter, I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or any source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Oh, I'm broadcasting live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void live here Thursday, the 13th. Too far after 9 o'clock, Central Time, 10 Eastern. I had some issues. Like I have issues every day. But we're live on the Fringe FM, KTOK, digital broadcasting, TalkStream Live, the Paranormal Radio app. Tune in, YouTube, Live 365, Zeno. I can't think all the other streamer. All under the Fringe FM. If you want to join in on the chat, you can over at the YouTubes. And that's it. The call-in number is 501-777-5631. If you want to call into the broadcast tonight. I'm pissed, man. You ever, like, I know most of you aren't smokers. I don't want to lecture about smoking. I don't care. You know, it's probably going to kill me. Yeah, whatever. But if you don't have a lighter when you smoke, it turns into a nightmare. I fell asleep last night with my lighter on in my pocket or something. I don't know, but it was on my blanket, and I had a weird dream. And when I woke up, I threw my blanket, and the lighter just flew into the shack somewhere. I heard it bounce off the walls. It echoes in here, so I'm not sure where the hell it went, you know. So I've been looking for it frustratingly for a long time here. So anyways, if I have a nick fit during the show, I apologize. As long as we're relatively safe. Are we safe? I think so. Best way to look at this is, let me show you guys something here. Google Trends. This is what everybody cares about. You want to know what most people care about? The majority of humanity cares about right now? The Celtics. Is that it? No, let me click on trending now. No, it's the Celtics. Right now, at this moment, the number one most searched thing on the internet is the Celtics. The second one is the Jerry West stuff. And then you got, then it's in the NBA, U.S. Open golf, A Bridgerton season 3, part 2. The Boys, number 7's The Mavericks. And other than that, the only thing that I could see that actually matters to me would be the Fort Lauderdale state of emergency. What's going on in Fort Lauderdale? Are people okay? What the hell's going on? There's a bunch of flooding going on. That's all it is. This is as of this moment. Jaylen Brown, Tiger Woods, Pope Francis. That's it, man. You don't until you get into like the top 20 is when you start to get into different subjects other than like sports or Hunter Biden or whatever, you know. Number 3 is booty, Sudi says. Sudi says it's booty. Number 3, the NBA. Number 2, the charmed and tormented life of Jerry West. Most people that are searching this are from West Virginia. So okay, hold on. This is daily. I apologize. I told you guys a lie a minute ago. I'm so sorry. That's today. What are people searching right now? Like real time. Guess what? It's the Edmonton Oilers. That's number 1 on Google right now. Then you have the Indiana Fever, Atlanta Dream, the WNBA. What the hell is going on here? Can I just put like in the world? So that's the United States. I wonder if there's another country that's like searching, I don't know, something important. Let's say Colombia. Racing. It's all sports. I give up. That's what we're up against. That's what we're up against, man. I'm in Miami near Fort Lauderdale, and it's time to get around in a boat. Damn, it must be flooding like crazy down there then. Jesus. Yeah, I hope it the weather down like living in Florida was cool, but the weather down there can get kind of nasty. It's a subtropic climate. So the paradise thing is worth it when it's paradisey. But every now and then, like here in Arkansas, we have to worry about tornadoes. Tornadoes are terrible because especially if they land at night, you don't know where the hell they're going to land, what they're going to hit. They're sporadic, chaotic. A system comes in, it's all over the place. You don't know, right? Even the trackers can only get like a 65 to 70% guess at the velocity of these things. But a hurricane, I only lived in Florida once, and for 2 years. I'd love to go back. I want to go back. But I experienced, like, let's just say 1.5 hurricanes. They were low-level hurricanes. However, the low-level hurricanes were enough to freak me out because when I looked outside, the trees were bent over, laying, like, flat on the ground. You know, and they had tornadoes, which we're used to here in Arkansas, inside of the hurricane. So you got this big-ass Fibonacci spiral going on of chaos and destruction, and inside that is more little spots of destruction, and inside all that is all the debris and crap that's flying around. It's insane. Black Feather in the Wind says Florida sucks. I don't know, man. I liked Florida. I met some I didn't think I was going to meet like a lot of cool people because I got kind of personal where I got this idea, but I got this idea that all Florida people were stuck up and focused on money, and it really wasn't like that. Not from my experience. But anyways, I want to get back into the methods of focusing on the Tattwa cards. I actually have images of them here now. I have them loaded, but it's pretty cool. So we've been talking about this for about a week now, and Wu-Tang Hazy says, "Man, I love Florida. I'm with you. I like the beach. I like the subtropic environment. You know, I really do. So leaving Arkansas was crazy because I lived here for like 38 years. I didn't even know. I mean, I traveled a little bit, but I didn't know what this country was like, looked like, all that stuff. Went up to upstate New York, bad idea. Beautiful up there in the spring, terrible winters. It just packs full of snow and it's cold. I will not live in a frozen place or a cold place ever again, ever. I don't care. And then went to Sedona, Arizona. And in Sedona, well, just outside of Sedona, it's kind of pretty there too, but people say, well, you know, it's in the desert, it's a dry heat, so it's not as bad as the humidity. That's bullshit. It's like an oven in Arizona where I was. It's like being inside of an oven. It's that damn hot. And, well, I didn't have air conditioner either, so, in the Honda, but. And so then moving to Florida, around central Florida, the weather was nice for the most part. It rained a little bit once a day. It never got too cold, never got really too hot. It was nice. Sudi says, we got to get you a GoFundMe to get you out to Australia. Yeah, man, let's do it. Get me out there. I want to surf some Australian waves. That'd be nice. Get on a big banana board and just surf. I'd love to leave the country, but I'm freaked out. I have anxiety. Like, I'm not that tough emotionally. I'm pretty tough physically. Like, you put me in a fight, I'm okay. I might get beat up, I might not, but I'll hold my own. But if you get me away from, like, family, right, or the people that I know, and you throw me into a place, like because I had this real crazy traumatic experience when I was younger. So if I get outside of, you know, people that I know give a shit if I live or die, it gets weird, you know, because for the most part, you're just entertainment to people. Other than that, you could just be a car crash that they're staring at on the side of the highway. And this is the kind of crap my mind thinks about, you know. He said Valium. Xanax is good. I don't like, when I was in high school, I used to pop those little green Valiums and pass out. Barely made it through high school. All right. So the world's pretty safe except for Fort Lauderdale, let's say. Or whatever the hell's going on in Hunter Biden's coke habits and Trump's court cases. Right? Everything cool? We all safe? Cozy? Russian warships are in Cuba. What the hell? Why are they so damn close? What's going on? Y'all better come to Arkansas and get inside these tunnels. Uh-oh. I think he's right. U.S. submarine pulls into Guantanamo Bay a day after Russian warships arrive in Cuba. U.S. Southern Command said that the USS Helena, which is a nuclear-powered fast attack submarine, pulled into the waters near the U.S. base in Cuba just a day after a Russian frigate, a nuclear-powered submarine, an oil tanker, and a rescue tug crossed into Havana Bay after drills in the Atlantic Ocean. Huh. You got to watch out for that stuff, man. You remember that? I don't know what year it was, but what year was it when we had, I think it was Japan and then Hawaii, both had like we accidentally hit the nuclear button. You remember that? The alarms went off and all that stuff. And they said, it was just an accident. It was some kind of weird. You can't accidentally hit those buttons. And then did we do it first? I forget, whatever. But it was both on the different sides of the ocean. And then, like, we did it in Hawaii. And then somebody's like, oh, yeah, it was just nothing to freak out about, folks. We just accidentally hit the button. Come on, man. Trump was on the phone with somebody and people got pissed and they were probably talking about some trade deal and they activated those things knowing Trump, you know. Can you see him talking like that? I'll launch a missile right now. I don't care, right? I'm sorry. I don't want to get into politics. I don't trust any of them. I'm not a political guy. I don't like any of them. I think since Kennedy died, this country's been going to hell in a handbasket politically, honestly. Probably since the Democratic Republicans, which were what our presidents were called when this country first started was Democratic Republicans. When they decided to split into two parties and no, it's a democracy. No, it's a republic. Like, who followed? You guys are playing a stupid game. Go watch Star Wars. It's the same thing. All right, well, whatever. We're safe. We do have underground tunnels and stuff here in Arkansas. I think the rich people bottom up, honestly. All right. So let let me show you guys the Tattwa symbols. They're very simple with the flashing colors. So these are kind of like the Golden Dawn flashing colors. So we can start with imagine this, right? So we could start with the ether card or the air card. So imagine focusing on this oval, using it as a portal to astral travel or have a vision. You could use the Vesica Pisces too if you're really like me and you get into this stuff big time and you record the visions. But this is the ether card. And then they have seed of ether or ether, seed of earth, where you'll have another symbol inside of it and all that stuff. So I'm just showing you guys the cards because they're very simple and they're meant to be simple. Here's the card for water, which is the crescent. I have a little bit of difficulty with this one. I've had some weird experiences scrying into this symbol for some reason. I don't know if it's because it's kind of closed off, but I feel like, how do I explain this? Because it's almost like going through a trip and then trying to put words to it. I do have some stuff noted down, though. But it's kind of like going through a portal that's halfway. It's like hard to go through. One time I got into a pretty deep state of trance and was focused on this card. And as I was trying to get into the vision and let go and just do the active imagination and all this stuff, it almost felt like I was in a swimming pool trying to walk through water. Believe it or not, which could be the whole water thing, but I think it has something to do with like the thickness of it or something, or maybe it was something inside me. Like I said, you're not going to figure this stuff out until you just keep doing it. There's a whole system dedicated to this. And this is where it gets a little backwards, but here's the symbol for Earth. These are the flashing colors. So it's just the yellow square. The only reason why we have that flashing color in the back is to do the effect with the eyes, right? It's to stimulate the mind and the unconscious. But you can get Tattwa cards with just a regular like white back or black background. And fire. And so if you'll notice, like when you pick up a lot of Golden Dawn books or books that are into traditional ceremonial magic and things like that, the angels and the elements and this stuff in your temple and all of these different things will correspond to the same kind of colors, right? So what essentially they did was they took the Tree of Life, which is an amazing glyph or an amazing map to use to create a system. And so they used these colors to create a system. I think it's a little bit, they could have switched the colors. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example here. Fire is good. That works. But water and air are, do I have air on here? I don't know if I put air. Yeah, I did. So here's air. That's the water, like the blue circle of, air. But on the Tree of Life, it's kind of different, right? Air is yellow. Water is kind of the crescent color. And then you have the intellect or Hod, which would be this color. So, yes, I think it's like Yesod and Hod are kind of switched for some reason. There's a reason for that, but I'm not going to pretend like I know the full answer to that because I don't. But if they wanted it to fit perfectly, they would have swapped them. So, but where it gets confusing when you read this material or this occult material is when you read about Mercury. You start getting into alchemy, and then, it's like the mercurial air and they talk about the liquidity of it, but then it's like water, you know, they kind of blend together and it gets confusing. So what I would do is just read the books, but use these Tattwa cards and like start fucking simply with the Tattwa cards. Because if you pick up a book like the Golden Dawn book, it's really thick. And most people, what they'll do is they'll flip through it and they'll be like, oh man, you know, this is a lot. There's all these knowledge lectures and there's all this. I got to learn Hebrew and freaking astrology. I've got to learn, you know, alchemical symbols. I've got to learn so much stuff. It's easier just to do chaos magic, you know, and it is actually. You like Lon Malo Duquette's tarot? I have his too. He has the Tattwa, like his tarot card is his tarot deck is like basically like magic in a box. So when you pull a card, it doesn't hide anything. It has the angels, the Hebrew letters, all the colors and symbols that correspond with it. The Tattwas that, if the Tattwa is there, the Tattwa that corresponds with it, even the Goetia that corresponds with it. So everything that can correspond with that card is on it. And, you know, when you're doing it's really great for like when you're doing a ceremony and say you don't have a big temple or whatever. Say you got, I don't know, a corner of a room or whatever. You could just light a couple candles and use that card. You could do that with other tarot cards anyways, but Lon's deck is kind of cool because it just shows you all the symbols there. So it's pretty active. I like Lon's deck too. I have it actually here somewhere. All right, so this guy, John Mumford's talking about as you get into this, as you take these cards, you place them under a bright light on a white piece of paper and then gaze into the center of the, let's say, earth. So, for instance, we'll take this card here, which if you're listening on the radio, it's just a card with a yellow square and like a bright violet or just a violet background, right? Prithvi, let's take this card and say you put it on a white sheet of paper under a bright light. So you gaze into the center of the yellow square until a rim aura is quite pronounced, probably about a minute or two. And what'll happen is around that yellow square, it'll look kind of like it's kind of cool actually. If you start, it'll light up around it. You could probably gaze into it. If you put this on your phone, it would do the same thing. I like doing it with cards because it's physical, it's there, and I can take them anywhere and just, I don't know, there's better energy into it for me. But anyways, you'll see a white light around this square and it'll start to flash. Don't blink. So the flashing color effect can be, he says, quite spectacular. Some bitch. And then with the card, even appearing to float off the white paper sometimes. And when you feel the flashing effect has reached a maximum, remove the card from the paper and you can just gaze at the white paper, and the image, the opposite color a lot of times too, will be stuck on that white paper. It'll develop. It'll kind of slowly show itself. It's just an optical illusion. However, there's nothing magical about an optical illusion. It's just easier for the unconscious as you're in a trance state to see the optical illusion as you're in a trance state and use it as a portal because it already looks that way to your unconscious, right? And what we're trying to do is we know that place where the placebo exists, you know, praxis, right? The physical world, the figure eight, the physical world, consciousness, the spiritual world, and the unconscious, where the middle of that figure eight, where the placebo exists. We know that to speak to that world, we need symbols, or we need to have catalysts, I guess you could say, for the unconscious, if you want to look at it that way. This is perfect because as you're in a deep state of trance, or just you could even meditate and focus and relax, and the idea and the desire or the will is to allow your consciousness to flow through this idea of earth. So when that portal appears on the white paper, it's like a trigger to that place that we're talking about, that catalyst. And as long as you're relaxed, as long as you're focused, and as long as you've developed, let's just say, kind of like that magical mind, a vision will start to happen. Now, if you block it, I say you should write it down too. If you block it, write it down. But anyways, he says, watch the after image until it fades. So you have now started the process of unconscious assimilation. Repeat this exercise with every Tattwa card, which of course consists of 5 cards. You could do this with 25 cards in every subset too. And after you complete each subset of 5 cards, it says turn to the appropriate page and attempt to color the images from your visual memory. So it's essential that you do not attempt to integrate more than one Tattwa subset at night. So if you just work with one element a night. He wants you in this book to go through all of, like, say you're going to do earth. So you'd start with the earth card, then you do earth. What was that? Earth, seed of earth, earth, water, all that stuff. I'm telling you, just use earth. I think there's oh, that's just a beetle. I thought it was a cicada in here. If this thing drops down on my head, I need to get to an apartment or a house, man. This shack thing is getting old. If this thing drops down on my head, I'm going to freak out, man, right here. I don't care. I hate those things. The way they feel when they just find somewhere. Okay. Here's a different method. So while learning, anyways, he says it's helpful to say the name of the Tattwa subset card out loud. For example, while you're studying fire, seed of earth, say audibly, fire, seed of earth. Which you could turn that into a chant. Like you could actually just focus into it, meditate into it, and just say, fire, seed of earth, fire, seed of earth, right? If you want to. I don't do that for the Tattwas, but... All right, here's another method. And remember, if you get the deck on the website, I have a booklet that has like some basic kind of methods like this in there too. So when focusing on the Tattwa card, there are several tips. Gaze steadily and quietly, inhibiting the blink reflex as much as is comfortable. Do not stare or strain. Don't blink. Can you guys do that? Are you able to do that? What's up, Teddy Slater? Are you able to stare at something without blinking? Sometimes I can do it, right? Most of the time I can, as long as my eyes are moistened enough. I would get some Visine and do this. Other times I'll start kind of like, turning my head a little bit, because if I'm doing a stare competition, because it starts to burn. So make sure that you got plenty of moisture in your eyes when you're doing this. Anyways, gaze steadily and quietly, inhibiting the blink reflex as much as it is comfortable. Do not stare or strain, but gaze. And while gazing, you can count slowly to about 100. That seems to produce the maximum after image, but it is individual. It's different for everybody. And center the focus of your gaze upon an imaginary dot in the center of the seed element. For air, seed of fire, you would concentrate your gaze at the center of the red triangle, letting your peripheral vision note the perimeter of the red triangle where it meets the blue of air, and in turn where the circumference of the blue air circle meets the card background. I have this card. I could load it up if you could see what he's talking about. But it's just another symbol inside the elemental symbol. So rim auras will start to form around every edge, and that's because of the flashing colors. That helps too. Little rim auras. Including the square edge of the card itself, where it meets the white paper background. The colors will start flashing on and off on each side like neon lights. And when you achieve that, you will understand why the Golden Dawn named the flashing colors or flashing tablets. You just learned something about that, didn't you? So let me show you guys something here. Do I have a picture of... You guys ever heard of what's called the Vault of Adepti? Right? Have you ever heard of this? I've showed this to you before, I think. So inside of this vault, let me get a good picture here of what a Vault of Adepti looks like. Inside of this vault, it'll have 7 sides that correspond with the planets and 7 walls. And on the 7 walls, there'll be colored tablets that the magician, or quote the magician, can gaze into any of them and begin to have astral experiences through those walls, right? So while you're going through the systems of magic, you're essentially learning all about, especially if you're using these cards, how effective flashing colors are and why they're good in ceremony. Because a lot of people ask me that, or they have asked me that. So why do they use flashing colors? Or I like the Golden Dawn books. It just seems like their temples are so colorful. And, you know, come on, a lot of girls say that stuff. But it's because of the effect, the astral effect of what happens, how effective it is at scrying, using it for astral travel, focusing the mind and the magical eye. Let me just see if I can pull up an image of this vault. So after you go through all the elements and you become an adept, didn't I? What did I do with it? You become an adept. If you can find a vault, I think there's a guy that's been on the show, Jason Newcomb, built one that you could just blow up, right? Like blow it up into a... I think it'd be a little bit of a distraction to have like crinkles in it and stuff, but you could just blow it up essentially like a little room around you, which was kind of a pretty novel idea. Why can't I download this freaking picture? Most of you know what I'm talking about, though. I hope. Let me see if I can find his little blow-up vault. I think it's cool that he came up with this idea, really. It would be, yes, I mean, it would be optimal to build your own vault. But, man, most people don't make it through the elements. So just to jump in and start becoming an adept and using a vault probably wouldn't be a good idea because you haven't developed your ability to tap into the astral light and your skills and all that stuff, you know. Not to get high magically snooty like some people say or whatever. It's just a fact. Like, you got to develop this stuff first before it becomes effective to use. All right, check this out. You see that? That's kind of like sitting on the floor looking at the ceiling, but you can see the glyph there, but also the 7 walls that correspond with the planets. And each little tablet has that. And see, in my audio course that I have, I kind of start out telling people just to make symbols on paper, but use flashing colors. You could just start basically with like, you know, geometric shapes like squares, triangles, circles, and then get into the elemental symbols, and then move into, you know, planetary, alchemical symbols, astrological, Hebrew letters, things like that. All of these symbols carry energy. They just carry egregoric energy. They do. So what are we doing here? How does this work? Well, if a symbol carries egregoric energy, which means you could have all kinds of experiences with that energy and vibration, and we know color itself isn't just color. It isn't just something that stimulates the mind. It actually has a frequency to it. It's actual energy, right? This is why Annie Besant wrote thought forms, because they would see thought forms in certain colors. So combining the power of color and the egregore of symbols, it allows the magician to have tools to travel in the astral realm, so to speak, if you want to look at it that way, or scry. Now, I'm not talking about, this is totally different, okay, than, in my opinion, than the etheric out-of-body projection, where you're just projecting your body, you know, in the physical realm, etherically here. But some people can do that, you know, once they start to scry, they pop out of body or whatever. So anyways, the idea in the beginning stages of learning magic and working with the elements, it's good to learn intellectually all about the elements and what they, stand for, all that stuff. The story of them, the symbols. Get Liam Thomas Christopher's book and go through it. But the tool to really use in the beginning stages, magic, which is the first stage of the Hermetic mysteries, right? Theurgy, the operation under the moon. A good tool to use to learn the elements would be Tattwa cards, which is an Eastern method that goes way back before the Greeks started saying they came up with the idea of the 4 elements or the 5th element. This is actually like 2,500 years old. So it's got some pretty good egregoric energy behind it. All right. That's the air card. I don't know why I'm just keep pulling this up. All right. Let's go on and deeper into this booklet. The hell are we? So here's an advanced, and let's just read some advanced methods that he's talking about here, just to see what he's got. Mumford. So he says there's an advanced Raha yoga exercises you can do with the Tattwa cards too. Completely shuffle the deck so the card order is random. Place them face down on the table. The idea is to let the primal shape and the colors of each card elicit an immediate label of recognition. Starting at the top, turn each card face up and see how fast you can recognize it and identify its title. So for instance, you'll have, that's Earth, right? Or you'll flip over the fire card and it's the green back the red triangle. That's fire. But if you flip over the card and it's, you see the red triangle and it's got the oval in it, you could say, okay, well, that's fire, seed of ether, or whatever. See what I mean? You see how fast you can do it. Go through the whole deck, and any that you don't recognize, put aside and check later. You'll pick up on this fast, though. You should. The next part, an after image projection on the wall. Place a white poster card about 24 inches square on the wall, a few feet away from you at eye level. Select a card from the deck and place it face up on a piece of white paper. Gaze at an imaginary dot in the center of the seed while counting to 100. Transfer your gaze to the white screen on the wall and contemplate the afterimage until it fades. And note that when the card for seeing the afterimage is a few feet away from you, the afterimage enlarges. Do 1 card per day until you have worked through all 25 Tattwa cards. This is the one I like to do, the closed eye vision. So this is not an afterimage exercise. It's a method of training visualization. He says, I often teach classes on this subject, and I teach a technique with a red rose or a large, vividly pink stuffed rabbit. I use a rose. Roses are good for magic visualization. Think about it, man. We all love roses. They're perfect, right? Like you could imagine the smell of it. You'll even start to smell it. How delicate the petals are if you touch them using the senses. Running your fingers on it, even over the thorns to the rose, and just feeling the difference. Looking at it from the middle and the side, seeing the curvature of the petals. I do all this stuff in the audios, but like looking at it from the top and just seeing how it kind of flowers out beautifully, but it seems to have no center. Roses are beautiful. Anyways, he says the average blink rate is about 10 blinks per minute. The knack is to trick your mind into realizing that if you can see something with your eyes open and your eyes blinking, then there's no reason why you cannot continue to see it with your eyes closed. You pretend when your eyes are closed that you have pinholes in the lids and can continue to look out on the visual field. Select a Tattwa card and place it on the paper as usual. And instead of gazing at it with an inhibited blink, start increasing your blink rate up to 60 blinks per minute. Like Dukakis, right? Stare at this thing and just blink like crazy. Notice as you do this that you're continuing to see the image, regardless of whether your eyes are momentarily closed or not. Now, Suddenly, close your eyes, but continue to look through your lids and see the Tattwa shape. Imagine it, fake it even, pretend, whatever. With a little practice, your ability to create images outside of your head will increase. Pretty trippy stuff. Boy, I'm about ready. I'm about to go to war with these bugs. That's another thing about Florida, too. Do you think the bugs are bad here? They're really bad in Florida. They're bigger, crazier looking. Creating and reviewing. What time is it? Shit. Creating and reviewing the Tattwa before sleep. So this method can be done anytime during the day with your eyes closed, but done at night, it is almost guaranteed you will fall asleep. Only the most inveterate insomniac will survive this. So with your eyes closed, imagine you have the Tattwa deck suspended in space out in front of you. The cards and their seeds are all arranged in the correct sequence. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. And imagine you have taken the first card off the deck and suspended it in mental space outside your head. Now look at it. Just look at it. It will be Earth, seed of Earth, which is a yellow square. Let that image vanish and take the next card, Earth, seed of water. Can you see or pretend to see the yellow square with the silver crescent moon in the center? Motherfucker. Work through the whole deck in proper sequence. And if you can stay awake, if you can do it. That's a good way to, if you have insomnia, just start imagining that you're, don't actually use the Tattwas, but imagine that you are. And have the whole thing in front of you. You'll fall asleep. When you have mastered the evolutionary sequence, see, literally, if you can do them backwards in the involutionary sequence. Earth, seed of ether, blah, 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 Here's a final note on what we're talking about here. So the afterimage effect and the flashing colors are very individual. Each person's gazing time for looking at a Tattwa will be different, as their reaction to different color combinations will be. Experiment to find your best gazing time for maximum effect. The Tattwa composite chart appearing in this book may be used as a memory exercise. Make 2 photocopies of the chart, enlarging it to fit a regular size sheet of paper if you wish. I don't know why you would do all that, but then working for memory with crayons, colored pencils, or markers, color the parts of the cards to embed in your mind the color and shape relationships. Ooh. And then he goes through all the cards. Pretty cool stuff, though. I just want you guys to know kind of where the colors of the Golden Dawn come from. Watching you battling demons while reading is awesome. You think these flies are demonic? Is that why they're so damn ferocious? Usually, I got to get a screen door, but usually you know what? I never had this big of a problem till the neighbors. They got all kinds of more farm animals now, so the damn bugs are everywhere, right? When usually it would be like a firefly, maybe a mosquito every now and then. Now it's horseflies and beetles and shit like that. I don't have the money for a screen door yet, but I'm gonna get one. Damn it! Not like a full-fledged screen door, but they have these magnet folding things, Flies are too. I don't know, man. It was just one fly though. It's like they get in here. The door's shut. I don't know how the hell they got in here. And it just won't leave my face alone. It won't leave my face alone. It might be the hair gel, maybe. Is that what it likes? Anyways, some bitch is gonna die. Death becomes it. All right, we gotta. Up next is the commercials and a short little pause. And then I hope some of you guys will call in if you got questions about all this stuff. But I guess I just wanted people to understand why flashing colors are used in ceremonial magic so much. Even when you do if you really get in deep into the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and you're imagining the archangels. A lot of the books will tell you, imagine, Michael with scarlet robes hinted with green and stuff like that, because the whole system kind of works around these flashing colors for a reason, for a good reason, so that you'll learn to use these tools to whatever, man. I'm just saying the same stuff over and over again. Void walk, baby. Like travel consciously, practically, like you mean it, like you have a damn purpose. Here's some time. Here's the time. We'll be right back.
Do y'all want to learn a new dance? Are you qualified to learn one? That's what I thought. Who can dance out there? Okay, we're going to try a new dance. And if I see everybody doing it, I don't want to see you no more. Jelly Bean, are we ready? Y'all better do this one. What time is this? All right, y'all got 10 seconds to get to the dance floor.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Tired of going out and having fun on Friday nights? Perfect. Because that's when our show, Shift Happens, airs live every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 p.m. Central, right here on the Fringe FM. You get there while you can status.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm gonna take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Bumper stickers are a fun side hustle with low-cost investment that has built-in advertising to attract local customers in parking lots, rallies, gatherings, conventions, venues, and more. You could potentially sell these bumper stickers on consignment to local businesses, tattoo parlors, head shops, or any other independently owned store that might gear toward the fringe. Bumper stickers are great gift-giving ideas for friends and family. Also, a way to wake up your fellow travelers on the path without having to waste energy in tiresome debates. No car? No problem. Bumper stickers will stick to just about anything with a semi-smooth surface. Go to www.justbsme.com and get your bumper stickers today.
Norman T. Balone, assistant janitor.
Yeah?
I am here to inform you that everyone in this unbelievably large advertising agency has been fired.
Oh, no.
Except for you.
Really?
Which means, Mr. Balone, you're now president of this entire unbelievably large advertising agency.
Gee, I don't know much about advertising.
Apparently neither did anyone else around here.
See, I spend most of my time mopping floors and listening to the radio.
Radio, now there's an efficient and economical way to advertise.
Really?
Well, sure. Radio costs a fraction of TV.
Ooh.
And radio targets specific customers.
I love radio.
So you'll accept the job.
Boy, it's a big responsibility.
Make up your mind, Balone. This is the chance of a lifetime.
All right, I'll do it.
Splendid. In 3 hours, you will address the stockholders at our annual meeting.
Oh, what'll I say?
You'll explain why this company lost $17 billion last year.
Can I change my mind? I don't really
not, Mr.
believe
Radio. Red hot because it works. For all the facts, call this station or the Radio Advertising Bureau.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root. Listen to Lightning Boy Radio.
What? Little Martin Garrix. All right, I can't believe nobody's got any questions about this stuff, man. I mean, it seems simple enough, right? The Tattwa symbols and stuff like that. It does. If you got any questions, you can call in at 501-777-5631. I think we've covered like the basics of this enough, though. What is Gigi saying here? Anyways, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, because I saw some of you drop on the station. We're live on the Fringe FM. It's Thursday the 13th, live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We've been talking about magical tools or tools to astral travel. I guess you could remote view with them. Not really. I don't think so. It wouldn't be a good idea to remote view with them, but what was the name of the book and the author that you said to start with earlier? Oh, which book? The one that we're doing tonight or the one that I talked about earlier? Book are you talking about? Because this one is Dr. John Mumford's book on the Tattwas. So it comes with a deck and everything if you can find it, but it's super expensive. I'd just get the PDF and buy the deck we have at the Fringe FM, and it'll save you hundreds of dollars. Hundreds. Because this book goes for a lot of money. I don't know why. A lot of books based on the occult do. The fly swatter stick should be a permanent thing. No way, dude. I'm not making anything my signature thing. Like, I don't, especially a fly swatter. Like, oh, you know that, because then people would be taught, they would say, hey, yeah, you know that host that has the freaking flies? You know, that guy. I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. He swats stuff with a fly swatter. What is this Liam Anderson guy you mentioned? All right. So his name is, I'm going to have to put more links in here. Liam Thomas Christopher. Liam Thomas Christopher. He wrote a book called Kabbalah, Magic, and the Great Work of Self-Transformation. And it is the only book, and how do I put this? There's lots of books on Golden Dawn magic or traditional ceremonial magic. Lots of them. But there's not any books where you have a teacher, so to speak, that takes you through each step, right? So in his book, as you go through the stages of the elements, which will take you a year or two to get through them all. Yeah, you can use the fly swatter. I don't care. In his book, he gives you a backstory, but instructions. He takes you through the neophyte stuff, then each element, but also gives you other books to read. It's like it's a curriculum. It's laid out as a school, and it's perfect. But it's not easy. It's tough, actually, to do it the way he instructs. I have failed at it many times. That's why I don't claim to be an adept and never have and never will. And a lot of people that claim to be magical adepts, I think most of them are full of shit, honestly. Because you have to do the work to even, like a real adept doesn't even call himself that. You won't even hear him say that. For instance, I think Stephen Ash, who, he passed away, but was one of the first magicians that I talked to on the broadcast, was deep into his studies and way up the tree with his study, but he never talked about it. You wouldn't find it on the internet, nothing like that. He was very humble and such a great guy, man. Very smart. Because like ceremonial magic gets a bad name a lot of times. I think that word high magic is a bad name for it. People call it snooty and all kinds of stuff. It's just a system of development. That's all it is. It's a spiritual thing, I think people got it all wrong, man. They look at it like it's all about manifesting cars, money, and women, If it's not even based on that idea. It's like stupid. Shit. I hate when they made cigarettes, what do you call it? Fire safe now, so that some bitches just go out. I had to run and borrow a flame. You believe that? People are so broke and stingy now they won't even let you borrow a lighter. They just say, well, you can borrow the flame. Bastards. Let's see if he's got anything else here, though, that I kind of like, because it gets real complicated later. So he says, each element has come to be associated with a power center or a chakra in the body, and each element is composed of sub-elements involving the other elements. So you have the fifth element. Go watch that movie. Right? It isn't just the idea of the elements. You put them together and it's love, but it kind of is. But if you pay attention, all of the characters in that movie tell a magical, like an occult story. So you have Cornelius, which is the priest. Well, first, I can't spoil this movie, right? The Fifth Element. You've all seen it. Bruce Willis and what's her name? That super hot chick that plays in Resident Evil. So you have Corbin Dallas, right? So the word Corbin, which is my son's name, can mean raven, but if you put it together, Corbin Dallas, like the etymology of that word means black star, like the black star. And then Lilu, we got into that. Lilu is another word for like the moon or the feminine, but she's supposed to be the supreme being, or let's just call it the Holy Spirit. And then you have Cornelius, the priest. So in the beginning of the movie, you see him like deciphering these symbols from ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs about this, whatever, this supreme being, and you put the symbols together. Anyways, that's the first scene of the movie. But it's funny to me who wrote it, because the founder of occult philosophy was Henry Cornelius Agrippa. So this priest's name that takes this story back from ancient Egypt, where all of the Hermetic mysteries come from, basically, right? probably before then, but that's what we know. His name is Cornelius, and he's advising the president. Anyways, then you have Ruby Ross. Think about that. What is that? Chris Tucker plays this kind of narcissistic radio DJ personality, but he's got roses all over his shirts, right? So he's got these roses. He's kind of effeminate. He's not real masculine at all. So he's a man that's in touch with his sexuality and his feminine side. I'm not saying that plays into it, but it could. But his name definitely plays into it. Ruby Ross. Like, so the second degree or the second order of the mysteries is the rose. It's even been called the Aurora Ruby whatever. The red rose or the rose cross. So you got that in there too. So you've got the black star of pretty much Earth. You got Corbin Dallas. Then you got Spirit, which is Lilu. They're fighting over these elements. And what are these elements? These elements are parts of us, but in the movie, they're just these rocks, you know. That's all they are, that have little symbols for the elements. And then the two fall in love. Earth and spirit, man and woman, all this stuff. They fall in love, and they're fighting off the darkness, which is run by this guy named Zorg. Zorg is trying to get the elements in the movie for this dark thing that's coming to destroy everything, because they have to hide this stuff just like they do now, or back then they hide the secrets so we don't become enlightened to who we are. That whole story. But if you notice, Zorg is all about, he gives a lecture to Cornelius about destruction. He's, you know, because he's telling him, you're an evil guy and all this other stuff. He says, no, I think you got it all wrong. I'm the guy that destroys things. So when I destroy things, he says, look at all these things, these tools and things that are cleaning the mess up. They create jobs and they keep all this stuff going around. So Zorg is in that movie the symbol of Apophis, or destruction. And it's also funny to me that the artist, whoever did the art, put the plastic thing on his head. So literally it looks like part of his head is cut off. Let me see if I can get a picture of Zorg in the Fifth Element here. Isn't that his name? Yeah, Zorg. Which side of his head is growing hair and which one's cut off? This could all be, you know, pareidolia for me or whatever. Yeah, look. So the right side of his head is bald. The left side of his head is combed and straight and full of hair. So I think the artist, just in my opinion, was implying that this man is, or could just have done it unconsciously through the energy that he was working with through art, which it tends to do that through us, was saying, yeah, he's left-brained. He's just total, you know, logical, mechanical, left-brained guy that's all about money and destruction and power. Zorg. What is the name of that other, like the singer? The High Priestess is also in that movie too. So the High Priestess is represented by this character, and what is her name? The singer in the Fifth Element. I'm getting old, man. I'm losing my mind here. Yeah, not the actual, damn it, it's giving me the actual actor's name. Oh, Diva. Plava Laguna. Plava Laguna. What does that mean? Well, Plava is a Hindu girl's name. It is Hindi originated name with multiple meanings. Plava means a kind of a tree. Plava is also a Sanskrit word referring to the cypress tree. Okay, so you got Plava, the tree. Laguna, we know what that means. That just means water. So you got tree and water, or like the life-giving water that gives life to the tree, or she's colored in blue, which is like the high priestess. And if you look on the tarot and the tree, the high priestess is one of the biggest archetypal symbols. It has a ton of energy into it. That's why it's at the top side of the tree, and it kind of flowers into the other cards, so to speak. So it has a ton of energy, and it's the thing that will re-tap into our intuition. And the high priestess is, it's our intuition. It's like the dream world, our ability to do mysterious and magical things, and that whole connection, right? And she tells Corbin that she has the stones hidden inside of her. Think about that. She's like, where's the stones? And she says, in me. So he literally has to reach in her stomach to pull out these stones, the 4 elements. And at the bottom of the tree, guess what? It's the 4 elements. Plava means tree. Come on, man. Somebody knew this shit, right? Like, they knew it when they made this movie. They did. I love the 5th element. So anyways, as the movie goes on, you know what happens. They figure out they have to put the 4 elements together. Corbin figures it out, of all people. And he's got one match to start it. And guess what element he starts with? Fire. That spark that's inside of you. That's the will that a lot of times is covered in like darkness or under a bush or whatever religion calls it. When our life has gone to total shit or whatever, just like it is in the movie, the world's about to end, you still got that little spark inside of you. And he lights it with the fire, and he starts the fire, and then they light up the elements, but they can't get the freaking light to go off, right? They have to. Love is the answer. They have to combine the masculine and feminine. He has to surrender to the idea of love, which masculine doesn't like to surrender to anything, because masculine energy wants to be free. Like at its very divine core, it wants freedom. Feminine doesn't want, it just wants is love. The feminine is kind of love, right? So this is why Lilu in the story is like, I don't even know why the hell I'm going to stay here after seeing what you do to each other. Like, why should I stay here? And you see the masculine energy kind of struggling with the idea of surrendering to love. It almost ends the fucking world because he can't just say I love you to the girl. But when he finally does, when he finally surrenders to it, circle gets the square, like the game show says, right? The feminine encapsulates the masculine. The energy becomes even more powerful. A light shoots off and babies are born. But in this case, you know, it's more cosmic, right? It's the same idea. Yeah. And Barefoot Hippie says, sounds like the screenwriters had a fun time playing with it. Must have been in alignment. Yeah. Well, think about it this way, too. You don't have to practice magic or anything. You could just understand this process, apply it to your life. And I'm one to preach. I play video games more than I should be applying this stuff, actually, but I've done it. You can apply it to your life, and the light will go off, and things will happen. It'll change you, transform you. Here's the issue, though. Nobody likes change, and the ego doesn't like it at all. And I'm not going to go down this road where, you have to transcend the ego. Like, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is to really transform into your higher self is a massive transformation, not a small one. It's a massive transformation, but it's really who you are at your core. And there's a lot of shit that you got to work through. So when you go through these elements, just like anything, you have to go through some pain and suffering. Just like when you go to the gym, if you want to build muscles, you got to, break them down. So they don't tell you this when you're getting into magic, because most people are like interested in it. They're so fascinated by it. They want to do it, but they don't tell you that it really, really works. And number two, when you start invoking these things, it's going to force, in a way, stuff that you need to work on. And some of it could be pretty heavy. Some heavy shit can happen. And it's a wake-up call. Does it pay off in the end? I think it most certainly does. It's definitely worth it. I don't want to get into that, though. It usually scares people when I talk about it. But it's still a safe, and in my opinion, it's still a safe environment to change, though. You know, you're not going to go crazy like you would if you were just messing with psychedelics all the time and trying to, you know, light up the kundalini and just taking psychedelics, and the next thing you know, that you're in a padded room and you don't know how you got there. It's not. It's more of a controlled, slower developmental. Holy shit! I hit the camera. Sorry. He landed on the camera. Developmental thing. People need to ditch the fear, then life changes. Yeah, that's it. I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I was like, it ain't just fear. It's like we've become so, I don't want to say this. I have to say it, though. We've become so, I can't think of the word for it, like babied, or we need instant gratification for everything. I know lots of people I've talked to that they don't know how to swim. Like, why the hell wouldn't you want to learn how to swim if you're an adult? Don't you think that's important? What if something happens and you get, like, you're in Fort Lauderdale and a flood and you don't know how to swim? You're screwed. Don't know how to drive, don't know how to drive a stick. They might as well stop making manuals, right? They might as well stop making cars with stick shifts in them, because 90% of the people I know can't even drive a sumbitch. Don't know how to garden anything, plant anything, hunt, fish, nothing like basic life stuff. So why do we think, I wonder why, if we're just afraid of the simple things in life, why do some of us think, well, I'm going to take on this big ass magical process that's going to force me to change in ways that may cause me suffering? Like, really? Coddled. That's a word for it. That's a good word. You got to have some stones about you if you really want to do deep spiritual work, I think. Like, it's because something's going to happen. Unless, you know, it's not really fair, honestly. It's just not. Life isn't fair because it sucks, right? For the most people that were brought up in a loving, comforting, healthy home, which is a very small percentage of people, actually, they might go through this and have a great time. But people that are working through karmas, that were born into karmic situations and have went through karmic situational relationships and abuse, and we develop all these issues or things that we just don't want to take care of or fix. I'm one of those people. I definitely am one of those people. And when you invoke this stuff, it's going to have you fix it. Fix it or suffer. Usually what will happen is you'll suffer and you'll be like, oh, I need to take care of this thing. Or a lot of times it's just like dealing with certain anxieties. The reason why you have anxiety is because of comparison. That's all it is. You're letting other things outside of you, instead of what's inside of you, tell you what's good for you. Even things that you tell yourself that are obvious, like, well, I need to go to school, I need to get a job, and I need to go to college, and I need to have a house and a car and all this stuff that you're telling yourself. But is that really you? If it is, that's fine. But you need to make sure that's you and not other people. Like, everything that you do in life, everything, every decision you make, all this stuff needs to come down to you. And I know that sounds super simple, but that's not what we're doing. That's not what we've been taught to do, what we've been conditioned to do. That's not it at all. And even when I hear people say, well, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. But if you see how they act around certain people, they do give a shit a lot. about what people think, I have my own mind. I don't get influenced by people, and yet you'll watch a person become the people that's in their environment, and then they have anxiety and depression, or they start having panic attacks, and you're like, yeah, you have to, like, the stuff that needs to be transformed. What I'm saying is, because I've went through all that too, a few times, and still am in a lot of ways. But the stuff that needs to be worked through is so deep in our unconscious that it's not just like, oh yeah, I recognize this and I'll fix it. It's deeper than a habit. It's that deep. It's like rooted in you. And you got to uproot that shit and transform it. And that's all this operation under the moon kind of thing. Apparently, Sudi says, apparently the lower your socioeconomic status, the more likely you are not to be able to swim. Really? Is that true? Really? So it's like the poorer you are and the less you have, or the less status you have, the least likely you are to be able to swim. Why is that? That is strange. Shit, you would think those people are the ones that need to learn to swim, like that Tool song says, you know? Gigi says, I thought it was a rare case, like a psychic disorder or something, that some people can't swim. I didn't realize for a long time that it's something that people have to learn. Yeah. It's crazy. It's just like riding a bike too. Like when you first struggle swimming, and this is kind of how you could look at the transformations of things that happen in the psyche the same way. It's such a struggle at first, right? Like you're drowning. You see people just chilling and floating and relaxing, and it looks so great, but you can't swim. And when you try, you drowned. It's such a struggle. But you finally, something clicks. That's what happened to me one day. I remember as a kid, something just clicked in me, and I just jumped in and started swimming. I just let go and relaxed. Took the thingies off my arms. My mother at the time freaked out. I only got to see her once every now and then. I took them off and jumped in the water, and she started freaking out. But I don't know what it was. Like something came over me. I was like, I can do this. It's good. Swim. You just start to learn to relax. And next thing you know, swimming, there's nothing to it. Floating. Just laying on your back, I can float too. There's nothing. It's just nothing. Same thing with riding a bike. It's scary. It's a big ass struggle. You crash. And then eventually it's second nature. This is the same thing that happens in our psyche, but it's a little bit deeper than that. That song Anima is about California falling into the ocean. Yeah. Let's look up the lyrics of that song. You want to? Let's pick it apart. I love that song. So he says, some say the end is near. Some say we'll see Armageddon soon. I certainly hope we will. I could use a vacation from this bullshit 3-ring circus sideshow of freaks. Pissed off at people. I get it. Here in this hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only way to fix it is to flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim, and I'll see you down in Arizona Bay. And then he says, fret for your figure, your latte, your lawsuit, your hairpiece, your Prozac, your pilot, your contract, and your car. It's a bullshit 3-ring circus sideshow of freaks. Everybody loves this song. I love this song too. I wish he would have made a different verse though. That he repeats that verse. Fuck retro anything. Fuck all you junkies and your short memories, and fuck your tattoos. Oh, this was my favorite part of the song though, right here. Fuck smiley glad hands with hidden agendas. Y'all know what a smiley glad hand is? With a hidden agenda? Whew. Three Libras. The Three Libras track is the best one, if you ask me. Because I have my own interpretation of that song. The video is pretty crazy. But that song says, that through you the obvious and you flew with it on your back. A name in your recollection down among a million same. Think about that. Difficult not to feel a little bit disappointed and passed over. When I look right through, I see you naked but oblivious. And you don't see me. I threw you the obvious just to see if there's more behind the eyes of a fallen angel and the eyes of a tragedy. And here I am expecting just a little bit too much from the wounded, but I see through it all. And then he says, at the end, he says, but you don't see me. And he called that song Three Libras. But in the video, it shows like these three little girls that throw his boat in the water. And he dives into the water or falls into the water. And next thing you know, he wakes up in bed like with all these like chicks, like, you know, it's obviously sexual, but then they have these kind of glyphs that come up on the spinal cord, you know. I think it has something to do with him realizing that human beings may be the entire story of fallen angels. Like the whole idea of the story of Lucifer and the fallen angel and all this stuff that could be us. It could be a story about us. We fall like Lucifer, and then we rise as Christ, as that kind of thing. But if you don't know you're an angel, and even some of the texts say angels walk amongst us all the time, and the Gentiles will be turned into angels, there's a bunch of texts that kind of hint towards it. But if you don't know that that's what you are in a state of becoming, like a baby angel, and you're just this human, isn't it? It should be obvious that we're set above all of creation, you know. That's how I look at it, but other people say it's about a girl. Yeah. Well, what's up with the three girls in it if it's about a girl? I don't know how we got on the subject, but let's see what the public, what does he say? I'm just curious. Sorry. What is it about? This is from the intricate tapestry of emotion in Three Libras, exploring the depths of human connection and emotional complexity by A Perfect Circle stands as a profound musical journey. The song featured on their debut album, Mur de Noms, is a poetic exploration of disappointment, vulnerability, and the intricacies of relationships. Maynard James Keenan's evocative lyrics delve into the theme of unmet expectations and the struggle to understand the emotions of oneself and others. Well, that's in there for sure, you know. The title, Three Libras, adds a layer of symbolism to the song. Libra, a zodiac sign associated with balance, highlights the delicate equilibrium in relationships. The number 3 introduces an element of complexity, suggesting a triangular dynamic. As the song unfolds, listeners are invited to navigate the labyrinth of emotions, where the obvious may not always be apparent and the truth lies beneath the surface. Let's see. That's not his answers. This is this article answering that. It is a pretty emotional song, though. I get that song. Like, I get it deeply. Maybe he had like 3 girlfriends that really broke his heart. Just one after the other. And they threw his damn boat in the water. But the problem, you know, that could be a communication problem. I look at it too that way, like Tool is the masculine, A Perfect Circle is the feminine, and Pussifer is the child. Yeah, dude. I look at it that way too. That's a pretty cool way to look at it. But, you know, where's I going with this? Like, the problem is communication. Like, if you can't be vulnerable, you can't expect, even if you're a woman, I want you to listen to me very carefully. You can't expect anybody to get you if you're not vulnerable, if you can't speak what you feel. I don't mean just do something or play a stupid game so you'll see if someone cares about you. That's childish shit. What I mean is emotional maturity, right? Like if you can't speak what you feel, then you can't expect another person to get you. If you can speak upon it, exactly how you feel, and act upon it, then people are going to get you. It's that simple. Love is that we've complicated the whole process, I think. We've just complicated the shit out of it for no reason other than to play with ourselves like a bunch of idiots. I mean, if we really looked at this like responsibly, we would, if we understood the cause and effect, like go back to Hermetics, if we understood the cause and effect of playing stupid games with people because we're, broken or whatever, like how that's going to mess up a person's life, the struggles they're going to have, even their children, and so on and so on, and the shit just goes on down the line, right? It's almost to me as bad as like murder or anything like that. Emotional terrorism. People that play stupid emotional games. I get fucking irate with those people because they don't understand the effects that they're causing in a person's life and on down the line, Like there's a certain level of happiness you need to achieve on your own for sure. Like I believe that. Yeah. And that's at some point you need to be okay with, like you need to come to terms with, you may always be on your own. And once you come to terms with that and can still have a happy life, you're good. If you want to take it to the next level and share your life with somebody, you can't be an emotional terrorist. And yes, even if you're caught up in this story of I'm a bad person or shit always happens to me, or some people even think it's cool to be a fuck up. Like they have this whole story about how they're just addicted to sabotage and shit. And it's all dramatic and stupid. But if you don't understand the effect of that shit that you're having on other people, their lives, their families, the generations after them, you're not healing anything. You're shitting on everything. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is if you feel something, be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not weakness. Weakness is when you can't be vulnerable in a confident way. Like the idea of vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's just vulnerable. It just means you're putting your heart out there for someone to step all over. But here's the thing. If you don't do that, you're not going to get what your heart truly wants, ever. Like you may prolong a shitty situation or something you may think is close, but you won't. You just won't. And you might be surprised. If you put your heart out there, what'll happen? You might be surprised because most people are good. You know how I know that? I'm not saying everybody's good. I'm not naive. But most people have good intentions. Maybe it's just Arkansas. War complicates it. Yeah, I mean, you can complicate nicotine withdrawal. Joe is fired. Yeah. Well, I had a smoke, a little bit of one. But you could, I don't know why it's looked at as weakness, man. Like, even if you have a dark side to you. Like, let's say, for instance, I'm totally down with that. Let's say you got a dark side. Even if you have, I mean, most stuff can be understood if you just speak it and talk about it, right? Most of the time. And if you don't believe me that most people are good, lose your wallet. Was thinking about this today. Like, I lost my wallet. But in my lifetime, I've probably lost my wallet 50 times at least. 50 times. One time, someone stole money from me. The rest of the time, hell, even when I went to Florida, I dropped my wallet full of money out in the parking lot. I was with my girlfriend at the time. We were staying in this nice hotel, and I dropped my wallet in a parking lot way the hell out, right, away from the hotel. Long story short, a dude found my wallet and went searching all over the hotel for me. And he was there with his family, wasted a few hours of his time to try to figure out who the hell I was to get my wallet back to me. And his family was helping him. Most people are good. Something has put fear into you, telling you, like, well, if I tell this person how I feel, you know, like, just tell him. He'll cry even if you have to, whatever. And then if they shit on you, then they just did you a favor. They just did you a favor. That person is not who you thought they were. Now you're one step closer to finding what your heart truly wants. Yeah, it sucks, but the other way is more hurtful. Like, God, I hate even going on rants about this. Like, there's nothing worse than emotional terrorists to me. Fucking crazy bastards, right? Game playing people that sabotage shit, do bad stuff, keep stuff inside all the time, whatever, just to see if somebody cares. And like, this stupid. But where was I going with that? Like, worst case scenario, worst case, they're gone. Because if you keep them around, it's going to cause you trauma. Or if you're doing this to people, it's going to cause them trauma. Say someone loves you a hell of a lot, and they've expressed it to you. They've shown it to you consistently, and their heart is lining up with their actions consistently, and yet you can't get over your little emotional terroristic world. You're still playing childhood games with them, doing little games and fucking with their head and all kinds of stuff just to see if they care, to keep them on a leash, because deep down you're insecure that they'll leave, and what you're doing is causing damage to that person and then that person's next relationship and all those people's family and their children's children and all that shit, and all this trauma just keeps going down and down. And because you don't give a shit and you're caught up in your own pain. I cannot stand it, man. Like, if you're in pain, the healthiest thing you can do is talk to somebody about it and say, I need help, or I love you, or I'm scared, or I'm afraid, or I'm insecure, or I don't know. Just be grown up, you know. Gigi says, that's why I don't have a wallet. I just have a stack of cards. I know, dude. Like, I'm going to go back to the old chain wallet, man. Because the older I get, like, I'm losing my eyesight. I don't even remember the last time I used the damn thing. It's not like I have any money anyways. But, you know, sometimes I go and get a pack of smokes or something, right? And, like, I just woke up the next day and the damn thing was gone. Actually, that's not what happened. I went to the store and I was going to go in to pay and get a pack of smokes, and I realized my wallet's not with me. I thought it was with me when I left. I came back. It was gone. I don't know where it is. We've searched the house, the yard, all the stores that I went to, the truck, everything. It's gone. Maybe they did you a favor but wasted your precious time. No, it's not a waste of time. I mean, it is kind of a waste of time, but at the same time, sometimes you got to go through that kind of stuff with people too, so you know exactly. Like in my case, I've went through so much emotional terror with people and games and shit that I just, like, I'm all in or all out. That's me. I'm all in or all out. So if people fuck with me, and they will fuck with me, I'll just be done with them and I'll start moving on with my life. And then they don't understand why I'm doing that. I don't have time for that shit, right? I don't. But then I also have a soft heart too at the same time, like I do. So then they come back, ask me forgiveness or whatever, and I fall for it. Then they fuck with me again. And this starts causing like trauma. And at some point, and this is all happening because I invoked it magically. I'm just telling you. I invoked this so that I could work this out, right? This all happens to you. You suffer enough with it until you go, I'm done. I love myself enough, and I love other people enough to not do this kind of thing or be involved with it. It isn't about anybody, or it's about you and your effect on others, right? It's not about that other person that hurt you. It's about you and your healthy effect on other people. That's what matters, you know. Oh, I've had plenty of bad experiences. Yeah. Oh, man. Lying, sneaky, cheating, fuck bags, man. I've had that, and that's obvious bad stuff. But then I've had some really intelligent manipulators and people that are just caught up in their pain and trauma stories, and people that just don't. It's crazy to me, right? Like, but here's the thing. It's not about those people. I have to go through all these things to solve something inside of me. You understand? Like, that's why we go through these things. That's why that person you interacted with was a karmic situation, because there's something they have to work out. And yet, love is simple, right? Right? Like, love is a fucking simple thing. It's freedom is what it is. It's freedom. It's like, I love you, you love me. We always have that choice. I mean, you've heard the sayings before. Love is kind. It's honest. It's open. It's generous. It's patient. It's free. It's simple. You know, I just think some people are either caught up in their pain stories, they're emotional terrorists, or they just get bored with the idea of the simplicity of it, right? But you shouldn't be bored with it, because if you looked at love as like an adventure, I'm going to get real sappy with you here, okay? Just this one time. If you looked at love as an adventure, like you need to ask yourself how good, not how bad. We all know that. We talk about it 24/7. We get it, okay? You need to ask yourself, how good can things be? Because it is possible. It's very possible if you just let it happen. How good could things be if I allowed them to be? I'm not saying you're not going to have problems, but if you really loved another person or whatever, how good could they be? No matter what. You got money, you don't have money. If you looked at it all as an adventure, like they say, sickness and health and all that shit. If you looked at it as an adventure, how good could it be? How many different things could you explore together? I know people that are doing it now. Some of them listen to this show. They explore things spiritually, lovingly, from TV shows to deep intimacy to traveling to astral traveling. Like, you know, how good could it be? If you're not asking yourself that question, then I don't think you're ready to. You shouldn't be out there trying to date anybody. You should leave people the fuck alone. Or if you're trying to date people so you can get somewhere, that's another thing too, man. Like, if you're trying to date people so you can get somewhere in life, or this person's going to bring me more shit in my life, like stuff, or I'm going to have this experience. It's not really that I love that person. It's what does this person, like they're a fucking ATM machine or something. Like, what does this person do for my life? You know, like they're the center of this networking world, you know, and they're in the middle, just using everybody like cars instead of people with souls. That's more emotional terrorism too. You got to watch out for that shit. Yeah, I need a cigarette, man. I don't know how we started talking about Tattwas. It got into the fifth element, then started talking about this stuff, man. Maybe I'm just pissed off. Sound a little pissed off, right? But I do love each and every one of you. Thanks for listening to the show. We'll be back next week, God willing. Jess Rogies should be coming on tonight. I don't think I thought she was coming on directly after the show, but she said it was at 10, so it may be. Did she text me today? No, she didn't. So I don't know what time she's coming on or if she's coming on, but I know she's back on the network. So hang around on the Fringe FM if you're listening on the audio station. Just hang out. Jess is coming on. And it's a fun time late night with Jess. She talks about a lot of deep stuff. And she's one of the most chill, cool girls, women, chicks. I almost called her a chick. I don't care. She is. She's one of the most coolest chicks just to hang out with, honestly, and talk about all kinds of stuff. And that's why she's got a great broadcasting voice, and she's very nice. So perfect if you ask me for the late night. And so stick around for a little bit and listen to Jess, and we'll be back next week. Make sure you support the Fringe FM. Go to notfringefm.com. It's Fringe. You can type it in this way too. Fringe.fm. That's it. I still have people that have a problem. I made that website so simple. But some people have a problem with it still for some reason. What? Oh, hold on. I can't do that right now. Sorry. Getting messages, y'all, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we got to go. Night, y'all. Sweet dreams. Please support the station. Love you. All that good stuff.